Hello, thanks for joining me. Today I'm going to make a yellow cake with maple syrup icing. I've never did the maple syrup icing before, but I'm going to give it a shot. I am using white lily flour and I'm using Kerrygold unsalted butter. And I'm going to read you off the ingredients you're going to need. You're going to need 2.5 cups of flour. I sifted mine. 2.5 tablespoons of baking powder, 1/4 teaspoon, that's 2.5 teaspoons of baking powder, 1/4 teaspoon of baking soda, 1/2 teaspoon of salt, 1 cup of unsalted butter at room temperature, 1 3/4 cups of granulated sugar, 4 large eggs at room temperature. Now, if you go to make this cake and you don't have eggs at room temperature, you can run you some hot water and put your eggs in it and let them get the cool off of them, and they will get to room temperature. You need 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract, 1 cup of buttermilk at room temperature, and you're going to need 2 large egg whites at room temperature, which I've got my eggs separated, and I've got my egg yolks and my egg whites. And you need 1/8 of a teaspoon of cream of tartar. I've greased my pans and I used Pam baking spray with flour. I usually use Baker's Joy, but last time I went to get it, they were out, and this is all they had, and it worked for my lemon cake. So I hope I have luck with this. I've got all my ingredients out, and what you want to do, you want to whisk together your flour, your salt, your baking soda, your baking powder, and your tartar. Those are all your dry ingredients except for, this must have been wet, except for the sugar. And don't put your sugar in here. You're going to cream that with your eggs. With your butter. So I'm going to whisk all that together. And I'm going to set it aside. I've got me a silicone spatula. You're going to need it. I'm going to put my butter in my stand mixer bowl. And I'm going to put my sugar in there. And I'm going to cream that all together. Start it off on low because I had a mess. And then you want to turn it up. And you want to let it mix for 2 to 3 minutes. But usually the fluffier you let it get, the fluffier your cake is. And you'll scrape the sides down as needed. My oven's on 350. I have scraped my sides down and I am mixing it on high. And you'll do that for 4 minutes. Okay, once you have your butter and your sugar creamed together, you're going to want to turn it down to medium high. And you're going to want to beat in your 4 eggs, one at a time, until each egg is completely combined. Once you get your eggs all combined, you want to add your vanilla extract. Mix on medium-high. Once that's fully combined, you're going to want to add 1/3 of your dry ingredients. I'm going to spoon that in. And I'm going to turn it down or I'll make a mess. Add 1/3, and I've got my cup of buttermilk. After I add a 1/3 cup of my dry ingredients, I'm going to add a 1/2 cup of buttermilk. This batter is going to be thick, but that's okay. Now I'm going to add another 1/3 of my dry ingredients. You always end with your dry ingredients. I'm going to turn this down and I'm going to add the rest of my buttermilk. I'm going to leave it low, and I'm going to add the rest of my dry ingredients. Now I'm going to turn it up a little bit so it can get well incorporated. But you don't want to overmix it. I'm going to turn it off and I'm going to scrape down my sides. Now I'm going to make sure all these ingredients are incorporated well, because the next step is make sure that the bowl that you're going to whip your egg whites in is dry. No water, no oil, just really dry. And I'm going to make sure this is all mixed up in here, and I will show you the next step. Okay, now I've got my egg whites in my bowl. I've got my hand mixer with my whisk, and I'm going to mix it until it peaks. And I'll come back when I get done so y'all don't have to watch me do this. I added my 1/8 of a teaspoon of tartar. I mixed it till it peaked. Now I'm going to add it into my cake batter. And I'm going to mix it just enough to where it's incorporated. You don't want to mix it until your egg whites deflate. I have done this without using the cream of tartar in it. And you just fold it in. And I'm going to put it in my pans. I'm getting the air bubbles out of my cake. I'm going to put them in the oven. I'm going to clean up my mess and come back and we'll make up my icing. Now this cake is supposed to bake 25 to 30 minutes. If it starts to get brown on top too soon, then just tint it with aluminum foil just like you do a pie crust. And it's normal for it to look spongy on top. it'll be done whenever you insert your toothpick and it comes out clean. And I'll be back. Okay, now for your icing. My cake's been in 24 minutes and 40 seconds. For your maple syrup frosting, you're going to need a half a cup of butter softened. I'm using salted butter, Kerrygold. You need 3 cups of powdered sugar, 2 tablespoons of brown sugar, 2 tablespoons of maple syrup, and a teaspoon of maple extract. Now, if it's too thick, I can add up to 2 tablespoons of milk or heavy whipping cream. I'm going to use milk. I don't have whipping cream. Okay, I'm going to add my butter. Okay, I've added my butter, and I'm going to add my sugar, and I'm going to start mixing this really low so I don't get it everywhere, because I will make a mess. I'm going to add my brown sugar. I'm going to add my maple syrup. Let me use this. I want to get all of it. And I'm going to add my maple extract, and I'm probably going to need my milk. Okay, I'm going to add 1 tablespoon of milk at a time, because if you've ever worked with powdered sugar, you know it doesn't take too much liquid. It is going to take another teaspoon. And depending on how thick you want it, just add desired amount. But just add a little bit at a time. That's all it's going to need. I'm going to check my cake and I'll be back. Okay, my icing is done. I want you to see the consistency of it. But it's good old icing consistency. And I'm going to taste it. My cakes are out of the oven. I'm letting them cool. Tastes like a maple syrup donut, just like my son said. I think that's going to be good. Okay, as soon as my cakes cool off, I will come back to invert them. My cake didn't stick, so I've inverted one of them, and I've got to wait till it cools to put the icing on it, so I'll be back. So I'm going to go ahead and say that Baker's Joy or Pam baking works, because my cake didn't stick at all, and that really tickles me to death. And here's the finished product. And I think it's going to be really good. Now, whenever I cut it and take a bite, I will video that so y'all will know how well it turned out. Thanks for joining me. Please hit that subscription button, the notification bell, and I'll see you next time. Have a great day. Okay, I'm going to cut this and I'm going to taste it while I have y'all here, because I want y'all to know if it's good, because if it isn't good, I will sure tell you. Okay, I'm just going to cut me a small piece because I still got to eat dinner. Oh, it's fluffy, fluffy. Okay, the moment of truth. It's really pretty. I'm going to start tasting all my recipes with y'all. Wow. This cake is so moist that with the maple syrup icing, you've got to try it. It is delicious. If you have any questions, please drop them in the comments. I'll be glad to help you with anything. And if you do make this cake, please let me know how it turns out.